here.
I'm gonna sense it coming, and I'm gonna wave early.
Can't you just wave? Sorry. Hi, I'm the Magpie, and this Monday I'm joined by my friend Analog Weapon, and we, together with our mutual friend DDC, made this, which is the Round Robin. So this video is the official launch video for the Round Robin, and we're just gonna try to show as much as possible, but we're not gonna be able to show everything, so there's gonna be a lot more videos about the Round Robin in the future. And if you wanna buy a lot from us and support us, then there's a link to magpiepaddles.com where you can right now pre-order the Round Robin. And there's also a manual where you can read everything and see what we, did not show in this video, I guess. And if you have any questions, I should say also, just ask in the comment section and we're gonna follow up next week probably and just answer all questions.
So we'll have a lot of answers for hopefully a lot of questions.
We have also opened up Discord because we want people who buy the Round Robin to talk with us about the Round Robin in case you have ideas for it that we can then update it with. Because it's really easy to update on like a user level. You just plug it into your computer, you drag in a file. So we're continuously just gonna add more stuff to it, even though it's already got as much as it has. So we might as well get into that. Just want to show you some colors. So I Googled, and you're not supposed to have a thing in too many color options because then people don't buy stuff from you. But I wanted to have rainbow and yellow and more. Also, here's the back. It's not even the finished back, but it's almost the finished back because we added even more. But yeah, we tried to put all the information on the back so nobody understands anything when they first look.
There's like a summarized user guide on the back, which is pretty cool.
Well, yeah, we can talk all about the design and all those choices we have had to make also in order to make all of us be able to make the Round Robin in the next video when we're answering questions. So we're just gonna jump right in, I think, in this video.
Yeah.
So, I think what we should start showing is what the Round Robin of the whole thing is. Like, why is it called the Round Robin?
Well, you came up with it initially, but the core concept is that there's 4 voices. So, that's pretty normal. Every synthesizer has a certain amount of voices, but when you play the keys, it plays the next voice in the row going around and around, like a round robin. So that's the main core idea. Everything kind of branches from that. And you can play multiple keys at once, but it picks the voice in that round robin style.
Let me show you.
Then each voice has its own knob, so that changes the sound of it.
Yeah, and that's where we get into like the different modes and instruments. So of course we have this poly mode and basic instrument, and what the basic instrument does is it just grabs 4 waveforms. So you have a waveform scroller here where you can kind of pick waveforms, and it picks a group of 4, and then each individual one, what's the word for that? It
interpolates between those 4 waveforms is the technical word. So it's kind of morphing between the 4 that you have selected.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can see that on the screen when you're in the main instrument screen. It kind of shows the shape of that wave when that voice is playing.
I jumped ahead a tiny bit and I did a momentary hold because you can do a momentary hold. And it's just easier to show.
It's easier to show, yeah. Yeah, then as you turn the waveform, the encoder, you move that selection of 4 waveforms amongst a list of many. Kind of fluid. It's like as you morph between those waves, it just kind of changes the timbre of the whole thing. It's cool.
So yeah, that's the core concept with those voices, and then on top of that, or rather to sort of accommodate that, we have made a couple of different instruments where these knobs do different things instead of just inter whatever, do that thing that you said with the waveforms. Interpolate. So for example, we also have an organ instrument where they instead like add overtones.
Exactly. It just, you pick one waveform and then turning the knob changes, morphs between different like harmonics of that one waveform. So it's kind of like a that's why we call it organ, because it's kind of like a, the tone wheel organ thing, but with the bass waveform you have selected. That's cool.
Yeah, I went down in Octave because the cat is Octaves, so you go Octaves. Might as well show that because it's super fast and it's very nice to do. But as you can already maybe pick up, because I'm just doing it intuitively, we're working a lot with different button combinations with these 4 function buttons. So if you just press this one, you switch between different modes. And at the moment we have mono, poly, and ARP. And ARP is where we are really kind of going all in on that. But if you do this button plus arrow up, that's how you switch instrument. But yeah, if we just stick to basic, and since I've already done it, I might as well show that you can do 2 different types of hold modes also, on top of everything else that is going on. So if you hold a chord and you just do that button combination, it's as if you just recorded that button combination kinda, so now it's in momentary hold mode, where, it's very much droning, but you can play whichever voice is not being activated. And
you're jumping ahead.
To cancel, you just do the same thing. But we also have an entire like hold mode where it inverts parts of the screen, and it's now just gonna look whatever I press. And like re-look the next thing. Which is nice.
Yeah, so because the momentary hold's like kind of like you lock the voice on more, and the main hold where the screen's inverted is more like you can play a chord, and then the next chord you play, it'll let go of the old one and play your new one. And that's pretty cool.
And of course, right now we're in poly, but we could move over to ARP and just start doing stuff in ARP, because that serves the purpose of, I don't know, touching more things, I guess, and having it auto-playing. Because the ARP, we put a lot of time into the ARP, so we can go through all of that soon, but first, let's just show more control. So you know about these 4, doing interpretations of waveforms, or other stuff, depending. But these knobs, we have an attack and a release knob, so that's nice. Envelope. Skipping the unnecessary stuff in the middle.
We don't talk about decay and sustain here.
Of course, we also have a volume knob over here. And this is actually a rotary encoder. And you've already seen me rotary encode it a bunch to change waveforms. However, what I did not show you is that with the Shift Rec button, you can actually make it auto-scroll. So now it's just changing waveforms by itself.
Yep, and that's like related to the tempo too, which is kind of cool. So it's switching on intervals of whatever the tempo's at.
That's so cool in Poly also. Lastly, for like the physical controls, we have 2 sliders here and a touch strip here. So these are just controlling a filter. So we're in low pass filter at the moment. And of course, like, if you don't put your filter on sliders, then what are you doing?
It's just wrong.
And of course, if you want to, you can also record any potentiometer.
That's why we made the shift button red.
Yeah.
Oh, and I guess said rec. So, we're pretty explicit about that. Yeah.
But it was a very early idea actually for the round robin to do that instead of having a lot of like LFO modulation type controls for it, because that just becomes a bit cumbersome. This is so much more intuitive in my opinion, to just be like, oh yeah, I want to have something going like that. I'm just gonna do that now. And you simply go like Shift X to go back and skip the recordings. So it works kind of as a Control Z, but you can also just disregard all the recordings at once if you hold it. Then I guess, yeah, the touch strip. So the touch strip is fun. Right now it's on pitch shift. That's where it like starts off, just on a regular old pitch bend thing. But if you hold this one, which we call the mode button, and you swipe it, you can go to other things that it can do. And essentially it can take over any control or anything, and also has a bunch of these, you know, its own things.
Yeah, like that's the crazy pitch bend.
Yeah. And if I go back,
really, really wide.
We also have quantized. That doesn't really...
Yeah, so that's pitch, quote unquote, pitch bending, but it's quantized to notes, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, oh yeah, I mean, even before we start going into scales and unison and all the things we did for ARP, we might as well mention that we have a whole list of effects as well. It's related to the touch strip, because the touch strip can take over any of the effects parameters, but, I mean, just for starters, we have a tremolo. So that's fun. This is gonna get chaotic pretty fast. We have a vibrato also. I'm just gonna go full speed on that, because why not? Then we have a bit crusher.
Nice.
And a wave folder. And yeah, it gets pretty wild.
And that's quickly. A good thing to say right after the touch strip, because the touch strip can be assigned to all of those.
Yeah.
Or any one of those. It's always assigned to something, and that's the list of things includes those parameters.
And you can also record the touch strip. So... we don't really have time to go deep into every single effect and like having, oh, this is really cool with that or this. And
yeah, they're there. Yeah. And we'll talk more about them later.
However, one thing that we put a lot of time into is the Arpeggiator. It's a very information heavy screen, and I'm hoping that even though there's a lot of lights and stuff, so it's kind of hard to show on camera, but I see it, so that's nice. When you sync up the round robin, we haven't even talked about that at all. We have MIDI in and also USB-C, where you can also just sync it with MIDI if you want to. So we can sync it to a MIDI clock, and then together with that, we have a lot of different time signatures to begin with. So we're on 4/4 now. Now we're on 3/4, and you did not hear a difference because we don't really have a reference to that.
Yeah. And we're just in 16th notes right now. So
yeah, exactly.
That sounds the same. Yeah.
Yeah, might as well mention that then right away, that if you hold an arrow while you're in the ARP mode, then you can pick all kinds of different note patterns and timing patterns.
Like this really slow one.
Now in Carnival, which is kind of a cool one.
Yeah.
And I did low up. So that's also kind of dope.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even stop there, because you can do 4 of each. So you can have 4 note patterns that it's going to walk between, like every bar, and that's where the time signature comes back into play. And you can also have 4 different timing patterns that it's going to walk between. And yeah.
That's the round robin concept again, but yeah, with these note patterns in a row and these note timings in a row. Timing pattern. Yeah. As you explore the timing patterns and stuff, you'll definitely find some that are pretty wild with each other, and some that are just more tame. But there's so many, tons of different options.
Well, yeah, of course. If you have like a steady beat going to all of that, then it's gonna be a lot more musical than it is when you do that kind of standalone like this. But it is very fun to play around with, because there's 24 different ones, both timing patterns and note patterns. So that's a lot of combinations.
Yeah.
I also actually just lied. So there's 17 note pattern variations, and at some point we're gonna go through all of them, but not in this video. After number 17, you can see this separator line, because 18 to 24 is the next layer of the arpeggiator, where it does octave variations on the pattern you have picked. If we have the ping pong note pattern going right now, then you can input, 19 to 24, and it will do octave shenanigans automatically. So right now we have like 2 octave up of a variation. Meaning that if I go down in octave,
yeah,
we're starting bassy, jumping up.
It's playing the pattern you put in where you played it, and then after that it plays it an octave off from, or whatever pattern you have in of the octave repetitions. Yeah.
Doesn't even stop there though, because you can also have it going by bar, so to speak, or by note. So if we do that button combination,
yeah, now it's every note. Does the octave instead of...
I haven't even changed waveforms in a while.
Yeah, that's what gets really fun with the arpeggiator, is that it's still always round robining through the voices as it plays, just like the other modes. So, like if you play with the voice knobs, it really changes how it sounds too while it's just running. And if you turn up the release, it all starts to kind of blend together, which is pretty cool. It's almost like you're playing chords.
That's actually a thing we can touch on now, because there's one more layer to all of this, and it's pretty recently added. If you do its arrow down and turning the encoder.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna lower the percentage of a note turning off.
Yeah. There's a chance for any note played by the arpeggiator to not turn off until that voice is needed next. Sort of a complicated way to say that it kind of drones a little more.
Yeah. Analog loves drones.
I do.
So there's a lot of small things implemented where we can get it to drone like this, and we can get it to drone like that, and
there's a lot of drone details.
Yeah, which is very nice, actually.
Yeah, that's the main way I like to play with, everything.
But I mean, for a while now, I haven't even changed note pattern or timing pattern, and I don't even know if I want to. Now I did.
It's interesting. Yeah, sometimes it almost sounds like there's a delay going on, even though there's not. It's just like the effect of it.
One more thing, and you can do this in ARP also, it's just easier to show right now in Poly. We implemented scales. So you don't have to play it in this chromatic fashion. We figured since we have like not a piano keyboard per se, it's more like a bunch of buttons, why not play around with that? So we start off in chromatic, of course, but then we have all of these Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian.
Yeah, like I would say, like it's if you have a song you're working on or something you're playing and it's in a scale, or a scale goes good with it, you can just set the round robin to easily play the notes that are good for that song, like in that scale, by mapping the 7 white keys to the 7 notes of that heptatonic scale, so that you're kind of filtering out notes that don't fit with whatever you're playing with,
Yeah, and you do it super easily. Like you pick a scale. So we have all of these scales, and then you just hold a note and you go mode, and then you set the root key like that. So if I want it to be C, then now C is on C again, which is nice, because then it's just gonna walk a Lydian scale.
Yeah, on all the white keys.
On all the white keys. And then the other keys, like the black keys, They're also white in this case, but those are octave, octaves based on the closest adjacent white key. So
yeah,
it's just really nice to sort of, especially with Arpeggiator, jam to a song where you know sort of which key you're in and what scale. I mean, you could just play around also with that to do something that is completely bonkers if you feel like it.
There's a lot.
We have 22 different scales, and then we also have reverse, meaning that lowest pitch is now down here. Or up here, I should say. Up. I don't know.
It's already, it flips your mind right away.
Yeah. Gimmicky but really fun to play around with. Not gonna lie. On top of that, scale number 2 is microtonal. Because microtonal is something that you really don't come across a lot in these types of instruments as a feature. So in the microtonal scale, you just start off with the chromatic scale, and then you can microtonally tune any note you want with the arrows to create a microtonal scale of choice.
Like quarter tones.
With quarter tones.
Yeah, that's the increment. Yeah, that when you shift them.
A microtonal arpeggiator. Actually, it's surprisingly cool right away.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Something we really haven't touched on, though, is mono mode. And one could ask, why have you even include that?
Yeah, what's the point?
Maybe we were able to be like really smart about mono mode and implement something that Analog called Unison. So if you're in mono, then if you do shift and any of the keys, you turn on Unison. Unison?
Nice.
Number 1 is off, but any other is a bunch of different unison modes where you have 2 parameters, just like an effect, even though I didn't necessarily mention that for the effects because we ran that through that too fast. But you have the depth and the interval, and all the different unison modes spaces out the amount of voices, like the 4 voices in some cases, but maybe just 2 of them, and then maybe 4, and then maybe just 1, and then maybe if I just, we're in 2-2 now. So it's monophonic, but it's deciding how to occupy the voices. Is that a good way to phrase that?
Yeah, it's like deciding which voices will end up playing the one note that it's supposed to be playing in a monophonic behavior.
But yeah, if we have one where we're just doing all 4 of them, and then we give it some interval, and we can go deep with the depth. It's kind of like chords.
Yeah, it is. Like, the interval is like, basically, it is chords, because it's like saying when you hit a note to play something besides that note, that's the first 2 are just octaves. So it sounds like only the note you play, and then the further ones are more creative like that, like chord kind of intervals.
Can I ask you a question? How does that react to scales?
Oh, I don't know. It should just be compatible. Because it's all just, the unison interval is all just based on the note that's supposed to play, you know? So it sounds like jazz is how it reacts to scales.
Well, yeah, there's 24 different unison modes, which is quite a lot.
Yeah, which are all just different patterns for, again, how it cycles through how many voices and which voices to use as you play each note. Yeah.
So if you like, I'm gonna play one note now in ARP.
Yeah.
Okay. Should have shown that sooner. Because I mean, if I turn off Unison, this is what's being played. No.
Yeah, that's just the normal ARP underneath it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of focus on playability or whatever. A lot of focus on fun, I would also argue. But like,
I would too.
How do you even summarize to something? Like, stuff moves around when you play. Stuff round robins. Let's just put it like that. I think the name is an apt name.
Yeah.
And we are lost. We haven't also actually shown that you can go all the way up on resonance and get really wild on that.
Yeah. It's in good. It can be, if you want to be noisy, it can be very noisy. In a good way. The cool kind of, like, distorted, harshy.
True, we haven't even shown that instrument either. Like, you have an instrument that is specifically a bunch of waveforms that we didn't really necessarily want to keep in the default because they sort of break off in the sense that they are harsh.
Yeah. But they're still pretty cool. Yeah.
Just, you know.
Yeah, it can get very, like, glitch sounding or harsh noise.
In case anyone thought otherwise throughout this entire video.
Yeah, just wanted everyone to know.
However, I think that we're gonna have to end this at this point. It's so much, so in the future we're hopefully gonna be able to make a more cohesive video where we just plainly go through all of it step by step, like a video user guide. Maybe we can hire someone to do that, who does it for a living. But we wear suits when we try to do it, so we win.
Yeah, so you can tell we don't do anything for a living.
Sorry, the camera died. But hopefully many things we showed was cool and you now want to buy one. Because that would make us very happy. Because we spent a lot of time doing this. And we would love to talk more about that. So please ask personal questions. Name specifically who you're asking them also. That would be nice.
Yeah, like DDC likes them. Yeah.
But magpiepirates.com if you want to pick one up. Did we say the price?
No, we didn't.
We should lead with that.
Yeah, we should. It's $450. US dollars.
But in Swedish currency.
But in Swedish kroners.
Yeah. So $450 roughly. It's in Swedish currency, so I'm gonna stay updated, but that's the price we landed on when we had very corporate meetings in our suits.
Yeah.
But so this was it. Bye.
Bye.
So that was the end. Bye for now.
Bye. That means we can take our clothes off, right?